Okay, so we're here with Alastair Crane of Untitled Chapter. How's it going?
Very well.
Good. I think the first question would be, how did you get to be where you are?
Really good, really open question. It's like biggest thing I believe in, doesn't matter what you do. You could be in sport, any line of business, and anything to it's like hard work, right? I've always just believed in good, honest, straight up graft. Definitely wouldn't give it that answer at school. I'm not a massive academic. They certainly know I didn't hand all my homework in on time, but you get into the workplace, you realise the people going furthest, fastest are the ones that put in the most effort.
Okay, cool. And in terms of like your career path, how have you ended up? I mean, I know you started Grapple and then you were acquired by Monetize, but what about before that?
Yeah, you make it sound very illustrious when you say career path.
Well, it is, it sounds it.
I was lucky, you make your own luck, but I was lucky in my really early stages. So I left school at 16. I was really fortunate to have a couple of excellent bosses. Not excellent in the sense that they revolutionised how we harvest solar power or any of this kind of stuff, but in the sense that they would see people at the beginning of their careers and understand the kind of guidance that they needed in order to achieve their full potential. So even things like being strict, really small things like turning up on time, right? A value instilled in me, age of 16, things you carry through, really, really important.
Yeah. So obviously dropping out or leaving school at 16.
Oh, you've had the instant reaction. Everybody.
Yeah, no, I'm sure.
You dropped out. Yeah, no.
I swallowed my words there a little bit, but yeah. I mean, how was that? I mean, obviously, I'd imagine you went to the interviews and stuff, and people maybe looked at you slightly differently. How did you cope with that? How did you deal with that?
1,000,000%. You're going to get judged one way for sure when you're wearing a father's suit to an interview, right? So, yeah. Turned out to be the best thing that happened to me. Really fortunate. Was well educated. Parents believed in private school and all that stuff. So up until the age of 16, had a ton of good academic and extracurricular activities and opportunities for me. But really, the best thing that could have ever happened is someone showing me that actually putting in effort directly related to financial reward. It was such a big thing for me when I was younger. I just wanted to go out there and make my first bit of money. And so going into sales, which is where I started, selling classified advertising in the back of the Daily Express. Was really good footing for figuring out that you get your nose down, and and all the rest goes from there.
So you must have been pretty good at selling ad space then.
Yeah, I had an unfair advantage. The family business was in publishing, B2B publishing, so no consumer magazines. But so I sold my first ad when I was 11. I went to boarding school and I used to phone up the Asian markets just before heading off for class.
Nice.
Everybody had to do their bit in my family for their pocket money.
That's amazing. So what is it that Monetize do? I know it's obviously originally separate to Grapple. So what is it they do? Then maybe you could tell me what Grapple do.
Yeah, of course. Monetize has actually a breadth of products and services they offer, but they have a really strong heritage and foundation of a business working with many of the world's leading financial institutions, credit unions, co-ops, banks, providing in new and core technology, mainly mobile and tablet. And our focus is centered around mobile money, mobile payments, which has been emerging for some time, right? Everybody asks about the year of mobile, everybody asks about the year of mobile money, but connected into hundreds of financial institutions all over the world, and made over the past 18 months, 2 years, several really key acquisitions to broaden that. So it's not just working with financial institutions now, further on into retail, sports and entertainment, travel. So yeah, the business is really great.
And what was your experience like of building Grapple from the ground up?
Whirlwind, roller coaster, all the stuff that people tell you about starting a business. Genuinely, the best thing that ever happened to me. So. It will straighten you out as a character, right? You really find out how much grit, determination, what you're really made of. Because one thing's for sure, it isn't ever going to go the way that you wrote in the business plan. So I was really fortunate, had an amazing set of business partners. In fact, the lead investor, my main business partner, a guy called Jamie True, really well documented in the press as an entrepreneur, serial investor, big success story. And really lucky to have him kind of giving me guidance. We started the business when I was 23, so I definitely needed that kind of steering hand. Someone had done it a few times before.
It's young to start a business.
Well, yeah, totally, in the traditional sense and compared to others. But what it taught me was actually nobody really knows anything. And that's certainly not me being disingenuous to the rest of the population, but what you knew yesterday is fine. It bears no relation on what's going to happen tomorrow, especially in technology. And so it doesn't matter whether you're 23 or 63. If you've got the ambition and thirst to learn and adapt, you're equally well placed. So good grounds for starting a first business.
Yeah, for sure. So Grapple was acquired by Monetize. What was that whole process like?
So to start with, you go through all the different stages of an acquisition, right? So first off, there's the initial conversation whether the acquirer approaches the acquired business or whether the acquired business is looking for a sale. I think one of the first things I went through as a guy who had started a business and built a team and got a set of clients that I liked and respected and enjoyed working with. It's actually quite emotional. You make up your own reality because you've never gone through the sale of a business before. And what's it going to be like working for someone else? What's it going to be like not being in control? All of these things that run through your head. And we'll go on to talk in more detail, no doubt, but coming out the other side, 2 years, pretty much 2 years down the line, you realize that a lot of the things that you could perceive as a challenge or negative actually aren't the reality, and you still stay in control. If you work hard, you're good at what you do, any acquiring business will welcome your opinions, contribution, and leadership and guidance. So yeah, it was an awesome experience overall. I learned a lot from a bunch of people that do this for a living, so lawyers and advisors, incredible in terms of imparting their knowledge, and then actually coming into Monetize and working with people that are running a public company at significant scale, one of the fastest growing fintech businesses around. Yeah, it's been of huge benefit to my career and also my personal life. It's been brilliant.
Yeah, I'm sure. So something that interests me quite a lot is this, I mean, obviously you've got Monetize, which is a big sort of financial company, and Grapple, which were a design agency. Why the two a good fit?
Shared common beliefs. So believe in doing the very best work possible for whichever client they're representing, wanting to lead an industry, wanting to do things differently. And it's these kind of overarching themes that we both brought into in the early conversations. You're having your chemistry meetings, see if you get on. But also then you look at the businesses and what they do for their employee base, their staff body. Both companies believed in creating as much opportunity for people within the business as possible, promoting from within, and really encouraging diversity, invention, and who wouldn't want to do that on a larger scale than a smaller scale? So for us, from a Grapple perspective, it was a no-brainer. So lots more experience, significant increase in terms of financial capability, expanding geographic footprint in the Americas, in Asia Pacific. And yeah, coming from 23 when I started the business and a dusty back office in Marylebone, so being like, yeah, this is great, San Francisco, all that stuff as well. Why wouldn't you want to do it?
Bright lights kind of thing.
Yeah, something like
So when do you think kind of in a company's life cycle is the right time to think about becoming acquired?
I don't think there's any hard and fast rule, but I'm not going to escape the question, right? So I think there's two things. I think when you acknowledge that the opportunity for your business and for your team is so great that you have to pursue every viable avenue in order to achieve your full potential. And sometimes that means relinquishing a bit of control in order to allow the idea to go and fully prosper. And that's a really positive thing, and that's where the Grapple acquisition came from. We wanted to be as big, as successful as we knew that we could and should be, and doing it with a business like Monetize, as going through the acquisition was a great way of realizing that ambition. But then I also meet a lot of business people who started companies on my travels, and they're tired, they're jaded, and actually it's not fair on the wider team. And so acknowledging when you as a founder or leader have run out of expertise or steam, finding a new set of people to come pick up the reins, no bad thing. So yeah, but that could be on year 3, that could be on year 30. It's just really being true to yourself, true to your team, true to the vision that you started out with, and just checking whether you're still on track, still following trajectory, or could really do with an injection or like partnership.
Yeah. So do you think you ran into, were there any challenges that you ran into along the way?
During the acquisition or at Grapple?
During the acquisition.
Yeah, of course, don't get me wrong, these things are always incredibly difficult to pull off, like lots of hard work on both sides. The biggest learning was actually to assume best intentions. You can go into these things kind of watching out for the unknown, and really it was quite the opposite. An acquiring company, certainly our experience when Monetize made the approach to Grapple, 2 plus 2 really did equal more than 4, right? It was both sides wanted it to happen. Both sides were open, honest about their position, their ambitions, all that stuff. But it doesn't mean that a significant amount of legislation, legal work. I mean, think about even if you just have to corral and encourage feedback from all of the different shareholders, right? You start a private company, you raise a bit of money to make the thing happen. You might have a fragmented shareholder base, you raise money 5, 10, 15 different people, getting everyone to understand the plan, getting everyone to understand the offer, the opportunity, the deal, and getting the feedback all in on a timeline that works for the company that wants to do the acquiring. No easy thing. That's where it really helps to have a set of really strong business partners, great lawyers, advisors, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, of course, it all helps. So, obviously, Monetize had quite a difficult year. I think there's no secret in that. I know the CEO left a few months ago. You know, what kind of problems did that cause in terms of, you know, making sure that, you know, the ship was being steered in the right direction, and how do you keep morale up when something like that happens? Yeah.
So, look, macroeconomic basis, it's been a difficult year actually for a lot of different people, a lot of different industries. For Monetize, the business has gone through significant change, all for the better, and so managing that, of course, always a challenge as well. We were a really fortunate business because we had 2 CEOs for a chunk of time. We're now at a point where Elizabeth Buse, who was a non-exec director, so knew the business very well already, stepped up and took sole CEO-ship several months back. And I'm really fortunate working directly with her. That's all part, when you asked about, you know, pros and cons of acquisition, all that stuff. For me, the exposure to a group of people, and in this case Elizabeth, someone who's done it so many times before in terms of building and running large teams, international business. It's what I wanted to do, what I wanted to get out of it personally. And so coming back to Monetize, but yeah, by all means had our challenges over the past 12 months. But I've got total belief in leadership, people around me. It's what kept people like me who came from an acquired business in the wider company. And so, yeah, nobody's had plain sailing, not us either. But I've got absolutely no kind of hesitation to have a load of excitement and belief for the future. It's no bad thing challenge.
So off the back of all this change, I see that you guys are moving towards a SaaS model.
Yes.
What are the virtues of that? What are the, you know, why is that a good direction to be heading in, do you think?
So just to put really simply, because everybody has to practice their elevator pitch, right? You're trying to tell, if you can get friends and family around the dinner table to buy into something that you do in technology, particularly complicated when you start to get the nuances of it, you know, when you're telling, you know, granddad who was a postman or whatever, trying to get him to understand what you do. It's this simple. Software as a service dramatically decreases the amount of time that it takes for us to get going with a client, to stand up a project, and that has a direct positive effect on reduction in cost for our clients. So we're to do a lot more with the technology faster, and require less financial investment. So really to drive more returns for our partners and our clients.
It's interesting you say that, because I remember reading recently, Richard Branson, whenever he has a new idea, he calls it the mum test. So he'll tell his mum the idea, and if she doesn't like it or she doesn't understand it, then he floors it. That's it. So,
well, you see, that wouldn't work with my mum, because she automatically goes, and nothing's ever good enough, right? You can show her something, show her a machine that can turn salt water into drinking water, small as a pencil case, put on the table, and her question would be like, why does it have a plug? Couldn't you make it solar powered? No, I totally buy into that. The mum test, the family test, really important. If you can get it across really succinctly, plain English, and someone outside your industry understands it, then you'll be onto a winner when it comes to explaining it on stage in front of a load of potential clients.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. So obviously you guys operate in a number of different markets. What are the challenges with operating? You know, how do you have to change market strategy depending on where you are?
Really good question. You're asking it from almost an academic standpoint. I'll give you just the personal feedback. Running a business that's global, the time zones, right? So when you're coming into it from like a startup, you're in a 3-man team, built something in London. Yeah. We had an office in Toronto as we started to expand New York. Just starting to operate, keep track, and you're one human, right? So yeah, of course it's challenging in terms of like the work rate, the hours, all that stuff. But when you look at it from a business perspective, local teams, loads of trust in the people leading the geographies or the initiatives, and empowering, not about having one set way of doing things, one set like rules of the road. So US market, totally different to the European market, and being able to take the expertise from local markets, really empower them to do the best possible job. That's been actually a great learning for me, right? So we're as you mentioned, a software as a service, product-based business, and watching how we roll that out in the US, very different to how we roll it out in Europe, but doing an equally good job on both parts, empowering the local teams.
Well, just even keeping track of time zones, that must be a nightmare, right?
Yeah, no, I was being a bit disingenuous trying to make out they did all the hard work. It's actually quite the opposite.
Yeah.
But, you know, little things like, it sounds so simple and actually isn't, little things like learning to delegate, right?
Yeah.
So you come from small business mentality, you've had to do everything from hoover the floor to run your biggest client relationships in the early days, and just learning to let go a little bit. You got really competent humans around you to help you. All that kind of stuff, you go on a total learning curve. Yeah.
Did you sit there and you're like, oh, well, actually, you know, I can actually work now?
It's really nice. It's really nice having a bunch of colleagues all over the world that are all at the top of their game, best at what they do, super supportive, and everybody driving for a really big picture goal, right? It's no joke. Yeah. You know, the challenges that we face as a business and the opportunities that we have as an industry are massive. You look at the kind of investment coming into fintech, but hugely rewarding to have people that can support you across all of those things, you know, marketing, sales, finance, HR, things that you just don't have the luxury of when you're running a small company.
Yeah, sure. So in terms of like the big retail banks, obviously there's been a huge amount of disruption in the fintech industry. What kind of effect has that had on retail banking, do you think?
So, look, I think there are a couple of different ways to view it, right? So, invariably, it's driven them and inspired them to look for more innovation, further afield, more of the time. So, being a Brit and now living in San Francisco, one of my favorite things to do, actually, really nice touch, is for a lot of my European counterparts that travel over to the West Coast, organise for them to go and visit all of the big VCs, private equity firms backing all of this kind of technology down University Avenue. So, you know, they're all keen to learn, really good to drive that kind of enthusiasm from large corporates, particularly banks. But honestly, in terms of how it's disrupted it, it's nibbled around the edges. There's been no killer blow. It's not the end of banking. There's no, you know, dramatic change where everything ends, you know, tomorrow. Don't get me wrong. Everybody has to stay sharp so they don't have their Kodak moment. You know, the year that Instagram sold to Facebook was also the year that Kodak went bust. It's like, how did that even happen? So of course people have to be wary. But really, it's been far more of a positive than a negative in terms of the innovation from startups and the investment in fintech, definitely. Yeah,
well, I saw that Monetize were doing some work with Santander. Can you talk me through that a little bit?
Yes, there was an announcement recently with our partnership and joint venture. Really, the idea is to find best-of-breed technology from all over the world and provide it with the opportunity and the ability to succeed in a market that has as high a barrier to entry as technology and financial services, right? To be compliant with all of the rules and regulations in banking, and then you go cross-border when they change. Having a partner like Santander and a partner like Monetize to help smart entrepreneurs coming into this space, really, really important, because alone, regardless of how much capital you raise, very, very difficult thing to do.
To me, it seems like it's almost taking those disruptive startups and bring them into the retail banking side.
I don't think it will be as much of a blunt instrument as that, actually. So there's no mandate where the startups have to do things in a, you know, for the bank in a banking way, or with Monetize or any of this kind of stuff. It's about finding people that have genuine ambition and ideas for opportunity in the space, and showing them a path to making something that can be market ready, that millions of people could use. And so it's actually like deployable technology rather than just pipe dreams. You read and hear about a lot of things that are a good idea. Very rarely do you actually see them widely adopted. So go back to the mum test, right? Very rarely do you actually see them being used by family members around the dinner table. And I guess that's the kind of reality that partners like Santander and Monetize can bring.
Cool. Okay, well, that's all we've got time for. Thank you so much for your time. It was lovely.